Welcome to Overtime on Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the big stories in CSGO in less time than it takes EG to go hot, then cold again, then hot again, then cold again. A quick reminder to rate and review us at the end of the episode. It really helps us. I'm Logan. This is Aizyesque. Let's get into it. Talk about IEM Summer today, because God knows it's been hot enough to be summer now. All right. So IEM Summer. We'll start with Group A. For those of you who need a quick reminder, right? Group A consisted of Gambit, Sprout, Vitality, Complexity, Astralis, Fun Plus Phoenix, Extra Salt, and G2. And the people making out of it is G2, Vitality, and Gambit. So
yeah,
there's some confusing things we need to talk about here. Less so than in the other group. But
yeah.
Extra Salt just kind of didn't show up, which is really unfortunate.
Well, I mean, it's very difficult to be consistent. I will say that. Like, especially when you burst on, nobody's expecting much of you. You burst on and you look much better than you're expecting. To consistently keep that up is really difficult because, well, for a start, teams are actually going to study you in a way they weren't before.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they haven't really had much time to practice. They've been in Europe for a while, so they haven't been able to sort of like adjust things that are going wrong. They haven't been able to keep it sharp necessarily. And you're going to get a little bit burnt out as well. You're playing a lot of Counter-Strike in a short amount of time. The player break's coming up. Like, you're going to get burnt out. You're playing against top-level teams constantly in this tournament. It's obviously not a good result for Extra Salt. And I think it's proof that they're not like one of the, they're probably not going to be a top 10, 15 team right now. But I think we kind of expected that anyway. But, it reinforces that point. But it's also not the end of the world. This happens to them. You're like, bad tournament, it happens. Move on.
Everyone's got bad tournaments every once in a while. It's not like, whatever. It's just...
Well, except Na'Vi.
They have bad tournaments all the time.
Yeah.
So, for Extra Salt actually just got back to Europe. It's not even they've been in Europe for a while because they played Summit and they played ESEA North America.
True.
So that might have something to do with it as well. I mean,
yeah, it's also a lot of travel.
Flipping back and forth between the two places every 5 minutes. Let's talk about Sprout for a second. Because while they didn't win anything, while they didn't win a map, Fathom looks really good. That's the extent in which I'm willing to talk about Sprout.
This is exactly what we said would happen. It's exactly what's happened in all of their tournaments, like, for ages. It's like, it's really difficult to be excited by Sprout, even though Fathom is really good. Because, I don't know, man. They should be an upset team. Like, that's what Sprout should be. Mm-hmm. But they just never seem to actually upset. They just seem to sort of, like, heroically fail. Like, you get close but don't win. It's like, it was a good effort. We were so close. They just don't excite me, man. There's nothing about them that's you can sort of hang your hat on and go, yes, this is, they're gonna beat this. Other than FaZe, but I mean, yeah, the less said about FaZe.
At this point, FaZe is kind of like a tier 2 team, so it doesn't really matter.
At this point, Sprout beating FaZe is like expected, which is an insane thing to say.
Yeah. Vitality looked good-ish, and that confuses me.
Misuta looks unreal. I don't know what's happened to Misuta. He's just a god with no there was no foreshadowing, nothing. He's just been like, he came in, he was like hot and cold for a while, went cold for a bit, and you're like, maybe this guy is just not, he's not the player they thought they were signing. And then just all of a sudden, he was just like the best player. He's like been one of the best players in the tournament. Maybe not quite, but he's probably been Vitality's best performer. He's outperformed Zywoo from my perspective. He's been absolutely fantastic. And it's like, where did this come from? Is it just like a spike in his development? Is it a change of roles? Is he just like, it's like player development is never like a smooth curve, right? It's always a bit jaggedy. And maybe he's just like hit a point where he's just a bit like something's just clicked in his head. He's like, this is what I've been doing wrong the whole time. Maybe that's what's happened. And he's just a monster now. Because mechanically he looks like insane.
He learned how to do the window jump on Mirage, the window jump to Cat, and that's just like unlocked all of his potential.
It was like taking up so much of his brain space.
Yeah.
So he couldn't concentrate on playing the games. Like, how the hell do I do this window jump? I can't figure it out. And then it clicked. He's like, right, where am I putting my crosshair? Where's the end? Oh, right, yeah, that's easy. This bit's easy. Just
exactly.
once I can jump out the window, the game's sorted.
Complexity's another weird team because they lost to Vitality, and then they 2-0'd Sprout, and then they 2-1 Fun Plus Phoenix, and then they lost to Gambit in the lower finals 2-1. But they didn't look bad in any of it.
No, I mean, Complexity looked a hell of a lot better than they have done for a little while. I mean, they were so unlucky not to like at least take Gambit to overtime on the third. It was actually heartbreaking. Like, I wasn't particularly invested in who won because I like both of those teams. I want them both to do well. But the way Complexity lost it was just like, it was heartbreaking. It was round 30, map 3. It would have been like the biggest scalp they've taken in a long time. Like, you beat Gambit, you're pretty happy. And they just like, against a force buyer, essentially. It was like they got like sprayed down by a deagle. You're like, you were so close, man. You were so close to taking to overtime. You get to overtime, you like got the momentum. Like, I mean, maybe you still lose, but I mean, there's signs to be encouraged about if you're a Complexity fan, at least. Like,
yeah,
for a while it's been doom and gloom. They've been getting 2-0'd by teams they shouldn't, and just not looking good. But this tournament they looked genuinely good, and JKS looked good as well, which is
I was just about to ask about that because he hasn't looked good for a while. I mean, we've had in the TLDR Discord, we've had JKS slander about every half second.
Yeah.
And there's not really JKS slander from this event that you can do. He looked like a good player. He looked like the guy who came from the Renegades team that was ranked number 8 in the world for a while because they were just really that good and because they played through JKS. Something's changed in like the last 5 minutes on this team, and while they didn't make playoffs, right, because losing to Gambit, they don't make it. They're one of the teams coming out of this tournament that's definitely gotten further than they think that they should have probably gotten, if that makes sense.
I think they're one of the few teams who can be genuinely happy about the performance, even though they went out.
Yeah,
probably earlier than they wanted to. You're like, we went out, but we went out to Gambit in a grueling best of 3 that went all the way, and
everyone played well, which is like that's the most important part. I mean, when Rush is having your lowest ratings on the team, right? That's kind of where he should be. It shouldn't be JKS is at the bottom. It shouldn't be JKS support player or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Things are looking up for Complexity.
Agreed. They'll almost certainly like just screw it next tournament, and all of this will go to waste. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's like yeah. I mean, I would be heartened if I was a Complexity fan.
All 3 of them.
There's at least 10, right? 2 parents per player.
That's a good point. And Jason, so there's at least 11. There we go.
Yeah,
all
there
right.
you go.
All right, so Astralis is a team that plays Counter-Strike. I'm not sure anymore.
They're a group of individuals that sort of play Counter-Strike.
I think it's more of the second one. They had our first official map on Ancient, which was cool.
And they got banged out.
Except for Dupree, who got a Deagle Ace.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was Glaive, right?
I thought it was Dupree.
I'm fairly sure it was Glaive. Glaive was, like, ridiculous on that map. And they still lost.
It was a Glaive. I was very wrong.
He got an ace. He also won a 1v3, I think.
Point being, that's just dumb.
The map looks cool, though.
The map looked great.
It's great fun in pro play so far.
Yeah. Everyone was
We'll get to that with FPX in a little bit, but...
Yeah, but, like, so Astralis, they lost FPX. They won against Extra Salt, who had just said we're giving them a pass for the moment.
Losing to Astralis at the moment isn't...
no, it's not great. It's not
great. Later on, remind me to talk about Astralis, because I don't know if you saw the rumor that's been going around on Twitter
I did
today,
see the rumor, but we
apparently
have to talk about that. So and then they lost to Gambit 2-0, which is about what I'd expect them to do against Gambit right now. Especially when the only player that actually shows up on your team is Magisk.
It seems like they just have one player who shows up every game at the moment. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's like the exact opposite of what Astralis were.
yeah, because Astralis used to be that team where everyone showed up always, and if you didn't always show up, it was like everyone would be showing up to a degree in which it didn't matter, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Now
they,
it's
they would
nobody
never
showing up.
really. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine about whether Counter Strike was a weak link or a strong link game. And I pretty much said it's definitely a weak link game. And the reason that Astralis was so undeniably the best team in the world was that they didn't have a weak link.
Hmm.
It, most sports, at least a lot of competitive sports, are weak link sports. You get the odd strong link one, but generally they tend to be weak link. And CS is no different. And Astralis' weakest link was like Zipnix, which, and he wasn't a weak link because you couldn't really punish him.
Yeah.
And that's why they were so good. But at the moment, because the way they're disjointed, they have like 3 weak links.
Hmm.
Bubsky is really talented, and I mean, I think he's really good. He was really good on Mad Lions, but he isn't that good on Astralis at the moment. He isn't that same player at the moment.
Hmm.
I think maybe it's because of the way the team is structured. Maybe it's that he had to take a break and he's still finding his feet again. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I want him to be good again because I like Bubsky. I think he's a good player and I think he's quite an amusing personality.
Yeah.
But this team is a mess. And the way Zipnix has been playing, I mean, Magisk a lot of the time isn't particularly great either. Glaive has not put up the fragging numbers he used to.
Hmm.
Dupree is hit and miss with the AWP. I mean, he's a very reliable secondary AWPer, but it's a very different beast to be the primary AWPer. I don't know. There's very little to be excited about Astralis.
Yeah. Let's talk for a second very quickly about the rest of Astralis while we're here. The whole Mertz thing.
Mertz is really talented. He's really talented. You saw it on when he was on North and on North Academy. I saw a lot more of him than a lot of people did because I watched a lot of North games, as you might imagine. He's really gifted. His deagle is insane, which is, I mean, relatively rare for an AWPer. A lot of AWPers aren't, particularly gifted at hitting heads. And he's a
No.
very, very flashy AWPer. He will hit shots for days. The problem Mertz always had was less about his ability and more about his, I don't know, MSL. When they got rid of Mertz, MSL sort of made an offhand comment about how he wanted his AWPer to be reliable and somebody he could, who would lock down an area and not do silly things and just do what he wanted him to do. And do you think Glaive is going to give Mertz the
No.
freedom to do what he wants? Do you think
No.
Mertz is going to just? Do you think Glaive is going to be like, "Yo, Mertz, do whatever you want"? It's
They
not
they
going to
should
happen, is it?
they
If
should have
if he
just gotten
struggled with
drafted.
MSL, I don't know if that's going to work. I mean, maybe Mertz has completely changed from that time, and
Yeah.
all of the sort of
But
rumors about whatever it was, the way he approaches the game, the way he thinks about the game, whatever. Maybe they're all just nonsense now, and he's a completely changed person.
yeah. But
But it's a risk.
yeah. Not just a risk. It's like it's kind of it. It's not just a risk. You're putting your team, right, which has been in the dumps for a little while, onto one guy who you had just some experience with on North, and we haven't really seen him since. I mean,
He
I
was on
can't tell.
Singularity, and he
I
was
was gonna
like
say
smashing kids.
I can't
He
tell
was
you where he went after, but I
smashing.
know he went somewhere. But like, it's not a great look for Astralis if that's what you can pull out to save this team, to save this roster, right? I don't know. It's kind of weird to me.
One counterpoint.
Okay.
We thought the exact same when they signed Magisk.
Uh,
Magisk was cut by North for seemingly similar reasons. I think he just didn't sort of get on with MSL that well. He went away to like Optic and okay, he looked better in NA than maybe Mertz did on Singularity, but the sort of similar level. And then Astralis picked him up. You're like, oh, this is a bit of a risk. I don't know about this one. It's not quite the same because Magisk was higher rated I think, and looked better in NA
Mm-hmm.
than Mertz currently does, and
But
in the
and was
sort of
playing on a
tier
tier
3.
1 team. Like,
Obviously, we're not a tier 1 team.
okay, Optic wasn't a tier 1 team at the time, but they were playing against tier 1 teams, and they
Yeah,
were
from
at
time to
least
time
putting
they
up a
were.
fight against those tier 1 teams. I mean, that was a
Yeah.
really good Optic team to be. Let's be real here. That was kind of a stacked Optic team. So if he was still putting up good numbers on that Optic team, it didn't really doesn't matter who you're playing.
Yeah. I say I'd heard Astralis were looking at trying to sign Orpers. I think we put in the newsletter that they tried to sign Blamef and Config, who obviously aren't Orpers, but they were looking for players. I'd heard they tried to sign Farley and Acor. But I mean, I can't confirm those. It was a rumor that was going around. So I think they've been looking for players, and they've obviously gone down the list. If this is true, I mean, it was a rumor on Twitter started by a guy who I haven't seen before. So I mean, it could be complete nonsense, but he's putting his reputation out there as like, if it comes true, I'm like, you know what, this guy, he knows what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is true, and I could honestly see it being true, it's not the most exciting move, but I'm intrigued. And I think it says a lot about how players feel about Astralis right now. That Mertz is the player who's
joining,
ended up there. And that's not a slight on Mertz. It's that I think he himself will know that he's not the best AWPer in Denmark. And he's replacing Device. Like that, you're replacing Device. I'm fairly like, Mertz is going to have, some level of confidence and ego in his own ability, and he's perfectly right to. But I think even he is going to think, what the fuck am I walking into? Like, I'm replacing Device.
This guy, yeah.
I'm playing with Glaive and Dupree. Like, this is a step up. This is 2-3 steps up from where I currently am.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope the guy kills it, because I liked Mertz on North. I really wanted the best. I wanted him to be a monster, and he showed flashes of it, but flashes isn't enough on Astralis. So, is this the move that fixes Astralis? Probably not.
Probably not.
But maybe it's a change of tack. I mean, if you look at their League of Legends team, they went for a very cheap roster last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're not splashing the cash. I don't think they're particularly flush with it. So maybe this is their way of sort of downsizing a little bit, and trying to go the route of signing players with a reputation or something to prove, and flipping them, or bringing them up to a tier 1 level.
I mean, yeah, Matt just had that same kind of reputation going in too. I mean, he was mad, he was angry, right? Like, yeah. So you know what? Maybe this is a thing that works. Maybe it's not. We'll find out. Fun plus Phoenix. We're back to IEM Summer.
Hell yeah.
Now. Fun plus Phoenix.
How good is Madden? Jesus Christ. That game on Ancient, oh my God, he absolutely destroyed. Was it against G2?
Yeah.
I'd completely forgotten who they were, because it didn't matter, because they were always dead anyway. Like, Madden was just, he had 36 kills by round 20. It was insane. He was absolutely destroying them. The fact that game was even close is a testament to how much better the rest of G2 were than FPX. Because Madden, he got 44 or 42 or something.
42.
42 kills in regulation. It wasn't even a 30-round game. It was insane. He was just ripping heads off. I think he ended the game with a 1v2 that he had no right in winning. No right to win. The guy was absolutely ludicrous.
We've been saying the praises of FPX for a while.
Yeah.
Right? We've been saying that Madden's the one to watch out for, and here you go. Here's your cornerstone game right here. This is Madden. Welcome to the Madden show.
People for a while were like, Farley is the star of this team. Farley is not the star of this team.
No.
Farley is the secondary star. I mean, if Farley's your secondary star, you're pretty happy, right? But
yeah,
Madden is just, I don't know, man. This kid's cracked. Like, when FPX and like North were in the same sort of bracket for a little while, and they were like constantly playing against each other in tournaments. It was always Madden. Like he was always crushing. I was like, this guy is sick, dude. And you sort of, he doesn't have these games like obviously he doesn't have these games every game, but he does have off games. But he just has like so much ability to take over a game. Like he's absolutely ridiculous, man. I was watching the game with a friend of mine who sort of used to watch really regularly, but hasn't really watched for a while. And he was like, yeah, so like the FPX team, and talked to him. Like Madden is like he is the one to watch. Like Farley's pretty highly rated. He's a good AWPer, but Madden's the guy, man. Like this guy's really underrated. And he's like, okay, like he drops 42. I'm like, okay, I didn't think he was that good. I'll be honest with you. I'm not like, I'm not a wizard. But
all right, Harry. Let's move over to G2. I'm still confused about G2.
I think they're good.
I don't like saying that though.
Yeah, but I think they are. Like I don't think we can really pretend otherwise anymore.
I know.
Nico is just a monster. Amonek's like an ungodly AWPer randomly.
He's immediately become top 5 AWPer in the world, and it's just doesn't matter.
I don't know about that. I think CIS has like 4 AWPers there already.
Yeah, no, he's the next one on the list. He's above Device right now.
He's above Device. I mean,
I'm just half joking saying that, but also at this point right now with the way Nip just...
I mean, there's Woo, right? I mean...
The Vitality until right now hasn't looked good. There's actually a case for him. He's definitely a top 10 AWPer right now. I think I can say that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's really good. It's bizarre. Like, he looks like he's been an AWPer his entire career.
Yeah, I mean, like, why didn't they do this earlier? I think is my number one question. Of like, we freaked out about Kenny, like them kicking Kenny and stuff. And we were like, they're gonna turn to Liquid where they never op anything except for CT side where Nitro picks it up just out of necessity, right? And
now they
want like to pick it up. Yeah, because Amanek is just that good.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. I don't like. I've always kind of liked Amanek, but the guy's just a beast right now. He's he's out AWPing like actual AWPers.
Like he out
done this their whole life. Yeah, he out Device the other day as well. Like he's a beast, man. Like that's it. That was the missing piece for G2. It was minus Kenny S and just let Amanek AWP,
which is working.
Apparently, that was yeah. It's a genius move. Like I think it actually will go under the radar because people like Kenny S and people don't like Nika. I mean, I was a little bit skeptical as well, but it'll go under the radar. But that is like if this carries on, that's one of the best roster moves of the last few years because you kicked Kenny S and improved on your AWPer.
It's a completely different team now. It's so completely different. The team plays so differently. You used to have to play around Kenny S and play around his opping, and now it's just like, no, we're gonna play around Nico and Amanek, do what you can, and what he can is absolutely destroy everybody.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna get battered now. Like,
absolutely.
Like they're just gonna be rubbish for about a year now after we've said this. But like,
the caster curse, we've got that, but for podcasts.
Yeah, I think at this point it's really difficult to suggest G2 aren't in the top 5 in the world. Maybe like 3rd or 4th best team in the world. It's really difficult because they just keep winning and getting deep placements. Other teams are inconsistent and they seem to like consistently, by hook or by crook, get to a top 6 place. Like even when they don't look good, they still finish in the top 8. Like I don't know, they're just too stacked of a roster now.
I mean, yeah. All right, let's move on to Group B, where the slogan for this group is "What in the fuck." OG
are just like randomly really good now, I guess. EG are just. What are you supposed to say about EG? Like, what?
It's like they play 2 good rounds of Counter-Strike and then just decide to throw all their guns out of the map and AFK and spawn for the next round.
It's like, you know when you're a student and you're supposed to revise for exams.
Yeah.
And you like sit there for half an hour not revising, and you do like 3 minutes of revision. Like, right, time for a break now. That's what I feel about EG. They're like, right, let's play some Counter Strike. They do about 4 rounds. Like, I deserve a break, and they just go and do whatever the fuck they want for like 15 rounds. Come back and win anyway. And that, it don't make any sense. They look
No.
terrible like 80% of the time and still win because that 20% of the time they're just unbelievable. The game against OG, they would get absolutely smashed. Came back out of like absolutely nowhere. They were not even in the first map and they won it anyway. And then they got smashed again in map 2 and 3. You're like, why are you only good for like 8 rounds? What? You looked like they looked so good for like 8 rounds, and then they were just dead for the rest of this. I don't know. Like, it's the only reason it's hard to give OG loads of credit is because they beat EG in the last game. Like, somehow EG were in the upper bracket with them, and that's the team they got. Like, what the fuck? I have no idea how good this team is. I have literally no idea if EG are any good or not because they've somehow in the upper bracket, but they looked awful against OG. They looked terrible, except for like an 8 or 9 round stretch where they looked really good. And I have no faith in them winning a game against anyone at the moment.
But the thing is, you also can't say that they won't not win the game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, who did they beat? EG. They beat Team
Spirit
in a best of 1, whatever. They beat Heroic in a best of 3. What the fuck is going on? It doesn't make any sense. Heroic are really solid. Heroic don't lose to underdogs generally. Like, this is a point I've made before. They don't tend to lose against underdogs. They're really boring in that respect. And EG just beat them 2-1 as if nothing has happened for the last 6 months. As if like EG is still good. And then they just reverted back to type against OG and got battered. Which bit's the real EG? Are you Dr. Jekyll or are you Mr. Hyde? Like, which one are you? I'm so frustrated by this team because I just can't place them. I've no idea. Somehow they're in the playoffs still.
Yeah.
And they're like probably just going to get... Who are they playing?
They have to play against Gambit now.
Oh my... If they beat Gambit, I genuinely don't know what I'll do. I don't know what I'll think if they beat Gambit. If they beat Gambit, are OG just the best team in the world? Like, what's going on? I'm so lost.
I think everyone's lost, to be honest. Let's talk about OG for a second there, because that's also another what in the fuck. Because they went and beat Nip, which, like, okay, cool, sure. I guess Nip's getting their stuff together still. They got LNZ going, right? And then they win and they 2-0 Virtus Pro.
Yeah, and IP are weird, man.
OG.
Sorry, OG. Yeah, no. I mean, NIP are weird.
Weird. Yeah. The statement still stands, but
because they've done this before, right? And they always falter at this point. So it's really like I want to give it a few days. Like, I want to see the rest of this before I start making any sweeping statements. As I say, they beat EG in the sort of upper bracket, which is like you have to take it with a giant like pitcher of salt.
But like they're gonna play the winner of Vitality VP. Like they have a top 4
so
finish.
Winnable.
They have a top 4 finish here.
And like, either of those games is really winnable. Like if you avoid Gambit and G2, you're pretty happy, and they're going to. So
yeah, and they've already beat VP 2-0.
Yeah, like, I don't know. They always have disappointed at this point. That's always been OG's thing. They remind me of North in a lot of ways, and that they just always, whenever they looked good, they would look bad immediately. Like it was always a heroic failure at a quarterfinal, at a semi-final, and then they would finish like 16th at some other event, and you're like, oh god, what's going on? So, look, if you're an OG fan, it's obviously time to be excited because they've looked really good this tournament. They've beaten everyone they've come up against, but it's not done yet. And this is the point where OG have failed before. What I will say is that Flames has adapted to this level of Counter-Strike. Well, I mean, to avoid the pun, but on fire. He's taken to it like a house on fire. Like he looks like he's one of the best players in the world at the moment. He's just crushing it. That's it's a firepower upgrade, pretty significant one by adding Flames to this team because the guy is just cracked. He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. He looks like a better player than Valde right now, and that takes some doing.
Yeah. I actually want to go back to EG for a second and talk about
Do
the
we have to?
most unlikely person to carry this team, which has been Obo.
I don't think that's that unlikely. Obo's a monster.
Obo's a monster. Breezy is just non-existent.
Yeah.
And Obo has just stepped into Breezy's shoes, and it's like nothing has changed in that matter.
I don't know what's going on with Breezy, man. He was so fucking good for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just... I don't know if he's lost some like motivation to play, or if he's just, it's just like an in-game slump. I don't know what's going on with him, but I hope whatever it is, it overcomes soon, because that guy was ridiculous, right? Like, he was the one player who would just always go positive against Astralis.
Yeah.
Even when Astralis were at their peak, and now he's like going negative against teams, like against random teams. You're like, Breezy, man, what happened? I don't know if there's something else going on that we don't know about, or if it's just a slump in game. Whatever it is, like, hope he snaps out of it, because he's a monster.
All right, let's do quick fire very quickly. Imperial, they existed.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the amount
to be expected, right? It's a team with Showtime on. It was never going to go that far. I mean, they got Fur now, which is kind of exciting, but it's not because
they didn't do anything. Fur played like absolute awfulness too, which is great.
Fur's kind of been crap for a while, to be honest.
I know, but like worse than normal.
Yeah.
Spirit, they looked fine ish.
Spirit, meh, not good, not good at all, really.
Not good for them, but like.
Yeah, I mean, a while ago this wouldn't have been a bad performance for them, but they've sort of set the bar higher now, and
but the thing is,
heights, right?
They lost to that really good EG. Well, the whatever this EG is. Then they won 2-0 against Imperial, which is what you should do, and then they lost in a 2.
Imperial.
But then they lost in a 2-1 against.
Oh, they should have won that game as well. That was so infuriating. They should have won. It was on Ancient. They clearly were not entirely comfortable playing Ancient. Like, you could tell there were certain things they just weren't comfortable on, and they just sort of like fell apart down the stretch where they should have won. They really should have beaten VP.
No, I agree, but like my point is like they looked good in the matches that weren't against whatever EG was. So
now I've remembered that Spirit game. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, they actually
whatever. Nip is absolute awful. They need to replace not Nip, I'm sorry, Fnatic. I was
gonna say it's a little bit harsh. I mean, they've done all right.
No.
I mean, it wasn't a good performance from them this tournament, but absolutely awful might be a
much. Fnatic though, absolutely awful.
This team is dying. Just do something, anything. Like,
remember how we had the free Bubsky hashtag for a while, right?
Yeah, free Pepsor.
Free Brolin at this point.
All right. Yeah, I would take a free Pepsor, like, just let him play, because he literally cannot be worse. Cannot get worse than this at the moment.
I think Alan Hender, right, the guy who's been doing analyst stuff for Flashpoint, tweeted something on the lines of like, imagine if Brolin's contract was up and NIP could sign Brolin as the 5th man.
Yeah, I mean, that would make NIP better than whatever hell they're currently doing. I really don't understand this thing. Jonas Gunderson was sort of like on Twitter being a bit sarky towards YNK, and it's like, I get it. You really think this is the way forward, and I'm sure in terms of like bringing players through, it's a great idea. It's just you've spent $1 million on a player. Like, you shouldn't. I don't know why you would be wasting the prime of his years like babysitting. I don't know, man. I would be frustrated if I was Device or NIP, but I'm not. So
that's our thing on NIP, by the way. It's like. They played well up until they lost to VP.
They lost to VP, yeah.
Like,
happens to the best of us.
It happens to everyone.
But yeah, I'm so bored of talking about Fnatic until they do something. Like, they're not even trying. Like, they're not doing anything, and they're just not. It's never getting better. So like, why would I waste energy talking about them?
Yeah. Virtus Pro looked good, which is cool. I mean, they looked like Virtus Pro. Like,
It's
let's be
weird.
honest here.
Yukanda has not looked good this tournament though.
No,
Or Yukinda.
but Sanji has been just really, really good for a lot of these games.
His team makes it, like, even when VP, like, normally I thought I had them figured out, where they were just this monstrous team. Like Yukanda was. I think when I wrote a video piece for ESL. It was like the alpha and the omega. Like Yukanda was the alpha, Jane was the omega. Yukanda opens the rounds up, Jane closes them. That's the identity of the team. They just got like Kika and whoever else just to sort of like play the mid game out, get Jane to the end, and then he'll carry you over the line. Thought that was it. And it was like almost entirely the fact that Yukinda was just somehow the best player in the world, just out of nowhere. And then Yukinda just plays badly for a tournament. I mean, it happens, right?
Yeah.
And they're still winning games. And I'm like, what? I thought you were only good because Yukinda was carrying you. Like, I thought that was my read. I was like,
Yeah.
when Yukinda plays well, this team is insane. When Yukinda is off it, this team loses to underdogs. They lose to the teams around them. But this isn't the case. They're like grinding games out where they have no right to win them, which is it's an important quality. But maybe it's slightly worrying if you're a VP fan. You're like, okay, we are grinding these games out even when we're not playing well. But at some point, we're going to have to play well. So, I mean, it's really difficult to be negative when you beat Spirit, beat NIP, lose to OG, who've looked really good. Like, it's really difficult to be too negative, but they haven't actually looked good. They're just winning.
Which is a different thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, they should have lost to Spirit and been out.
Yeah.
But instead, they're in the playoffs.
It
was a really tight margin, and there's a really close between going home and being in the playoffs.
I don't even know where to start with them anymore. Just it's weird.
I maybe like Yukinda shows up in the playoffs and they absolutely smash everyone. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility, but he has not looked like the same player this tournament as he did for the rest of the year. I really hope he gets it back because he's really fun to watch. Yeah, and VP without him are not fun to watch. They're really fucking boring without him.
I mean, Jame time it's not opping really well. It's just saving every round.
Yeah,
that's Jame time.
It is a lot of the time. I mean, he's obviously a good AWPer and he's had to be at the moment to like win these games, but it's so dull to watch when Yukinda isn't just running through Molotovs to kill people.
Yeah. Hey guys, quick note from the editor's desk. As you may well know, we've been running a promotion for the last couple of months for referral for our podcast. If you go into the description below, there's a link where you can refer 3 friends and you can unlock a bunch of CSGO stickers shipped to your house. We have our first set of people getting shipped their stickers now, including Arthur, Musty, and Spencer. So if you're one of those people, look out for the stickers coming. And if you're not, it's easy enough to just refer 3 of your friends, and then you'll be in the line to get the CSGO stickers. All right, back to the podcast. Let's move on to the execute. We got one quick thing we want to talk about here, which is the fact that Junior has stepped down from Furia's active roster. He's going back to America. He wants to clear his head. He wants to get his mind together. We've been talking for a while that Junior hasn't been, well, the best right now, right? That we expected that there was going to be some cohesion issues, right? That we didn't think that he was going to be amazing right out of the gate, but this is a little less than we thought, right? So he's going back to America. He's gonna rest for a little bit. He's gonna get his head back together. And in the meantime, we get the man who in his opening game got 3 aces.
Yeah.
Which is the stupidest stat known to humankind.
Junior's basically doing like the Smooyah, which is where you like get cuts. You're like, right, I need to like get my confidence back. So he just goes to NA where they don't flashbang. It just AWPs people over and over again. It's like playing like when you have a bad game of matchmaking, you just go sit in like aimbots. It's basically what Junior's doing. He's like, all right, I've not been playing well. Let's go sit in aimbots. Which to him, like what aimbots is to me is like what Junior, like is what NA is to Junior.
Yeah.
Like he's just gonna go like shoot some bots for a bit, come back refreshed, revitalized, and hopefully he's gonna start like showing the level that we thought he would on Furia.
Yeah, I mean he was absolutely sick on Triumph, right? Like we want we want that to come back, right? It's not something that I want to just go away or whatever. Um, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Junior because we've already talked about Junior a bunch previously. I want to spend time talking about Honda though because this man's kind of insane. Um, and he's been
Yeah,
sitting on the bench.
he looked pretty good in his first couple of games, but he's not like, I don't know. He sort of had those like really flashy moments, but I
Mhm.
don't know if he was actually all that good. I mean, he's obviously decent, right? And maybe he'll be a
Yeah.
better performer than Junior, but
Mhm.
the thing with these 6 man rosters is that when the sixth man is in, you just never feel as excited about watching the team because it always feels like they're never going to play to their full potential.
Well, this one I actually am really excited to watch because Furia with Honda in is a so different team than with Junior in. It's actually going to force Op to play kind of passive. It- Hold on, let me rephrase this. More passive than normal because he won't be able to run in with the MP5 because
Oh, he will.
he will, but he is now the primary opper because Honda's not an opper. So with Art pulling out the op now, the team just plays differently around an art op versus a junior op, the same way that they played differently around a henny op versus a junior op or an art op, right?
But do you really think that Art isn't going to do the exact same things he currently does with an SMG with an AWP?
I mean, shotgun op is definitely a thing. It's a slug shotgun at close range, right?
I,
I'm pretty
I
sure.
mean, even when he AWPs, he's still like hyper aggressive. I don't think it's going to massively change the way they play. They'll just replace what was the AWP in their defaults with just like, I don't
A
know,
rifle.
KS Arato with an SG instead, and just go like, just hold this angle. I don't think it will change that much. They might change the position of the players around a little bit, but Art's still going to just play like a maniac. He's just going to be using the AWP to do it.
Which is insane that he's able to do that, by the
Yeah,
way.
I mean,
Separate matter. But
I don't think Art's able to switch off the part of his brain where he just wants to fight 24/7. So I don't think he's going to.
yeah. I I'm excited to see how this looks because anytime we see Art main opping, it's always a fun time to watch,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how aggressive or not. He's Art is a fun player to watch regardless of what's happening, and when he's put in a position, well, when he puts himself in a position, right, that he gets to carry the best weapon in the game, right, the thing that'll one shot anyone if you can hit the shot, like that's always fun.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's all we need to talk about there. Let's move on to overtime where we talk about our listener mail, which we have a
We've got a
good
few
chunk.
questions.
We have a lot. Um,
So we got
I'm
a. Do you take a vacuum seal off with a spoon or by stabbing it? I mean, why not you just stab it with a spoon? Genius. I would probably stab it. I think that's the easiest way to do it, right?
Yep, I agree.
I don't know what. It was like take it off with a spoon. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was
Yeah,
genuinely
I'm
baffled.
really not sure about that.
Like, surely you would just stab it with a spoon and then, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Why is EG? Yeah, I mean, I'm
Uh,
thinking the same thing, bro.
See, like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. Go to pizza toppings. I tend to go for like the meatiest pizza I can.
Yeah, I can get with that. I like peppers on my pizza as well.
Oh, I don't like peppers at all. Don't like them. My the best topping you can get on a pizza is Anduja sausage, but it's relatively rare. But
Yeah, they don't normally have that.
yeah, it's ungodly. Pizza Express have it on one of their pizzas, and it's just insane. Vu asked us
It's
like
like
5 questions. I'm gonna need your help with some of these
Yeah,
because
okay, I got it.
best instant ramen. We don't eat instant ramen over here. We have instant
I
noodles, but
So you're gonna. I don't eat instant ramen either.
well,
I don't like. I'm one of the weirdest humans of the humankind because I don't like salt in large amounts. I bro, don't. I couldn't tell you why. I just don't. Um, so
so
like
that's been a good week. We'll see you on.
so instant ramen just doesn't appeal to me.
The idea sounds great. I mean, I like noodles and like just adding soup to them. That can't be bad, right? But like, we just don't really have it here. We have instant
Yeah.
noodles, but you don't eat them unless you're a student. There was a shop near me where I was at uni that sold instant noodles for like 17p. So I just live off that because I was a student. But we don't
I
really
mean,
have ramen here, unfortunately.
all right.
Top 3 Kanye West albums. May surprise you to learn I'm not a massive Kanye West
Neither am
fan.
I.
I like a few of his songs. I really like Black Skinhead. I think that's a great song. I like No Church in the Wild.
Church in the Wild is pretty good.
And I like...
I am actually looking at his albums right
Yeah,
now.
I'm just looking up now because
and
I definitely used to listen to a lot more of him than I do. I really like Gold Digger, to be fair. I think it's a good song. As I was saying, yeah, I don't really listen to a whole lot of Kanye West, but it's pretty good. It's just not really,
it's not my music.
I don't mind a little bit of rap, but yeah, not really too much Kanye. What bear is best?
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. That's the answer. That's
all right.
It's an Office quote.
I see. Does Chewbacca count as a bear? Probably not, right? Isn't he?
Probably not, but I'm gonna allow it.
I like polar bears. They're pretty
polar
cool.
bears are good. I like polar bears too.
Other than the fact they like eat penguins and seals and stuff, I kind of like them.
I mean, pandas. That's the best bear.
Oh yeah, pandas are pretty cool actually. I watched a video once of a panda like trying to climb on top of a snowman and he kept falling off. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, pandas is the correct answer.
Yeah.
How many MP9s can you buy with $16,000?
Okay, an MP9.
Unfortunately, 12... I saw this question earlier, so I like sort of thought about it a little bit, or at least
it's $12.50 to buy an MP9.
Yeah, so it's like four of them is 5K, right? So it's 12 plus 0.8, so 12.8.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, someone answered it for us. I actually didn't even see that. 12 and two sets of dualies.
Yeah. Isn't there 200 left? I think there's a flashbang left. So
no, you said 0.8. You said there's 0.8 left. Dualies are 400.
No, as in like 0.8 of 1250.
Oh,
1,000.
Yeah, there might be a little bit more left.
I don't
know, it's too
Ryan asked us, is the US automotive lobby the most powerful bloc in American history for the early 20th campaigning to introduce highways and urban development, forcing a reliance on automobiles to the next century, something that Europe never grappled with? Yeah.
Okay, next question.
What are the best shotgun skins? Isn't there like there's like that pink sword off skin that's pretty cool. I like that one. It's like the Wasteland Princess. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It reminds me of Borderlands.
Swag 7?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's funny because like Swag hasn't been cool for so long that it's kind of cool now.
Yeah.
So,
I actually really like this question. If you could transfer your CS skill and knowledge to any game, would you? And if so, which game?
So, I feel like I should clarify this with I'm not that good at CS, but it is probably still the game I'm best at. If I was going to transfer it to anything, I guess it would probably be like football, like an actual sport, because I'm really like good enough at CS to actually enjoy it and do some impressive things, whereas I'm like kind of bad at football. So it'd be kind of fun to be as good at football as I am at CS, which still isn't that good, but it's like enough to, enjoy playing it regularly. The other option is obviously Valorant, but
yeah,
that should be easy to transfer. But I'm much worse at Valorant than I am at CS. So.
No man, I'm just.
He also asked favorite song, which I think we answered recently.
Definitely talked about, yeah.
But I'd just like to say that I've been listening to the new Cleopatra album, and it's fantastic. And I think everyone should listen to it.
All right. Yeah. For me, it's really weird on like transferring skills because I'm bad at Counter-Strike. It's a well-known thing.
Is there anything you want to be bad at?
No, I'd like to be good at things. So maybe I'll keep my Counter-Strike skill in Counter-Strike.
That is a good question. Is there anything that it would be good to be bad at? I mean, probably, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Being bad at getting arrested.
Well, because that would mean you just keep getting arrested.
That's actually, yeah, you're right. Maybe I'll transfer my Counter-Strike skill back to Call of Duty. I'll be good at COD again. Yeah. I used to be so good, and then I forgot how to play.
Did you play on controller?
Yeah.
So you did the nifty.
I actually did at about roughly the same time too. He's a couple years older than me, but we
You're
both
probably a
did the
bit
same
better than
thing.
he is at CS as well. So
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised, man. Thoughts on
oh.
kebab pizza with fries?
So in theory, it's pretty good, right? Like kebab meat's pretty good, fries pretty good, pizza's pretty good. The problem with a lot of like kebab is that people just put like yogurt and salad on it, and I don't want that. So it depends what you like. If it's literally just kebab meat, fries, and pizza, there's not really a whole lot to dislike.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start adding other start adding other things to the table, it starts getting a bit weird.
Yeah. I want to talk about this last question because it's more of a precedent that I'd like to make sure that things are set. So we've been asked, why is Ryan a nerd? But that's not the important part of this, because our guy over here also included a clip, a highlight of his, and said, also, what do you think about this shot? And then captioned it with, I felt I had to add more than why is Ryan a nerd? And I feel like either everybody needs to start adding random highlights of theirs when they ask us questions for us to judge you, or
No, you don't.
you don't need to do this. Okay,
Yeah, that's right. You could just ask us a simple question. I mean, that was the prompt in the tweet.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. We had the question, why is EG this week? So,
well, yeah, true.
well, okay,
why is Ryan a nerd? I mean, just look at the guy. What do you mean?
I mean, have you ever read Ryan's bio?
I try not to click on his profile. It really ruins my day.
It literally says finance guy in it. That's all you need to know.
That's true. Like finance is basically just like nerds of the real world.
Yeah.
They're like Discord admins of accountancy.
Also, that's a pretty nice shot. I'm gonna be honest.
No scopes are all luck.
No scopes are all luck, yeah, but like movement's kind of crisp through it. He's got the jump from one box to the other, and then does the second high on triple without looking at us. That's some good movement there. So
we do have like one last question from Hedvig, which is what is your favorite animal video you've come across? And I do genuinely think it might be the panda one I spoke about earlier. Like, I've watched it so many times. This panda's like climbing on top of a snowman and he just keeps falling off. It's brilliant. Like, I really can't do it justice. It's just too funny. I mean, there is a second one which I think is probably up there. It was like this video of there's like a sheep stuck head first in like this ditch, and the guy like pulls him out, like really like struggles to pull the sheep out, and the sheep gets out, like bounces along, and then just dives head first back into the ditch, just slightly further along. It's brilliant timing. Like, sheep obviously don't have a sense of humor because they're fucking sheep, but like if they did, it was like perfectly timed. You can't teach that level of comedic timing.
All right,
genius stuff.
Well, with all of that, thank you very much for joining us this week on Overtime on Inferno. We'll be back next week. We'll have some answers on if OG is actually good. We'll have some answers on what the hell EG actually is, and we'll have a winner from IEM Summer. Other than that, feel free to follow us on Twitter at Logan Ramhap, at Aizyesque, and at ReadTLDR. We will see you all next week.
Peace.